So, Act 1, when it's mostly just exposition and stuff, and we're learning about everyone, I'd say it ends in that scene where, like, they're looking out the window and they see all the, like, meteor type things coming down, and they decide to go out and fight the aliens.
Yeah,
At that point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Is that around that 20 minutes that you were saying, like, it was going to take 20 minutes?
I'll look real quick. Just gonna pull it up.
I'll open up the movie right now just to.
I guess, like, within Act 1, if we want to take it to, like, the very beginning, I think the inciting incident was definitely when the boys, when, like, the car explodes and then, like, the creature, because, like, the creature comes down.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
I have a question about that, like, because there is a...
Yeah, that's sort of, like, when the cause of all the chaos happens, when, like, the creature comes down, and so that's, like, the inciting incident.
Yeah, I couldn't tell, because I know there's a conflict right before then when they try to mug Sam.
Yeah, I think that's why Professor Manning said, like, it was important to figure out what the conflict was before saying what the inciting incident was, because, like, it definitely seems like it could be, but then we find out, like, Sam and then the people who are mugging her, like, are all on the same side, so we're not seeing the conflict there, we're seeing more of, like, an introduction to characters.
It's one of those not as important, I forget what they're called. I forget what they're called. I have to look at my notes, but yeah.
Okay, so yes, the inciting incident was most likely the explosion, because when they robbed her, like, the robbing isn't exactly what continued as the conflict for the rest of the movie, you know what I mean? It's not, like, really about that. It's more about, like, the alien in the end.
And I checked 2030 in the movie, and yeah, it's like when they're all, like, getting stuff from their houses to go outside. So it about lines up.
Makes sense. All right, cool.
Okay. Cool.
So plot
point. And then
point.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you go.
I was just wondering, like, what plot point 1 was, because it's supposed to be irreversible, no going back, which I would, like, say, oh, that's when he kills that baby alien. That's, like, who they come back for, but I don't think that doesn't happen 20 minutes in, right? It happens earlier than that.
So we find out towards the end that it's the female,
right.
Because out of a fantastic coincidence, the one female is the one they kill.
Yeah.
And because of that, I guess it was implied that there was just one. That is more content. I don't know why, but I just thought that was interesting. And everybody, like, that's how they breed, obviously. So that's why they were trying to find him, because the pheromones, right?
Yeah.
I forget if it was blood or blood, because it was under the light that I forget what it's called. I'm not good with technology.
Oh, the UV light, right?
Thank you. Yes.
I think the argument against that being plot point 1, besides, like, it being too early, is, like, Professor Manning, like, worded it as the protagonist committing to a quest. Like, so the protagonist has to be making a decision, like, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and, like, it's okay if I can't turn back. So, like, when they killed the, like, female alien, they didn't know they were committing to a quest. So
I agree. Yeah.
That's true.
I think it's a very important piece to finding that plot point.
Yeah.
I mean, the cause of all that. I don't think we talked about what that is specifically called, but
it could be another, like, if there's such a thing as a second inciting incident. It could also be that, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like honestly, killing the alien could have
Yeah.
been, or the inciting incident instead of like the car
Yeah,
explosion.
because with the car explosion, they don't. I might be remembering wrong, but they don't see the alien in that moment, do they? They just see
No,
like,
here, let me check.
No, they like they follow the alien
yeah.
to
So
like a
that could be fine.
playground or something like that, and then they kill it there.
Yeah. So then,
Well,
yeah,
they
maybe the car explosion isn't the inciting incident because they
They
don't.
they have no idea what just blew up the
Right.
car, and they don't
Yeah.
find out until after. They look in the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay, so inciting incident is killing the first alien,
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah,
Completely.
Okay.
like the times are not perfect, but just the fact that it's such a like the inciting incident is sort of like the cause of all the problems,
Yeah.
and so yeah, killing the alien is like the problem. So it would make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. So plot point 1, what do we think that is when they see the aliens like coming down with the asteroids or whatever?
Or do we
Yeah,
think
I think so.
no?
Say that again?
Yeah, I think
Is it
it's like
hmm?
sorry,
Sorry.
Katie, you go.
Oh no, you go. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, I think you were talking first. You go.
Okay. Is it when we finally like first see the aliens, or is it when they kill the female? Because that's killing the female is sort of the cause of their problems, because that's why all the males are coming after Moses. Um, but when we first see the aliens, that's when we know they're aliens. I don't. It doesn't necessarily bring us to the conflict quite yet, just because they see the aliens for the first time. It's like, oh no wait, I'm wrong, because it's an introduction
Hmm.
to the conflict. So it
Right.
is.
No, yeah,
It,
that makes
it's
sense.
like
Plot point
I
one
think it
is
could
like.
also be
Sorry.
when oh sorry.
No, you go.
Okay. It could also be when they like see all of the other like when all the male aliens are coming down and they decide that they're gonna get all their weapons and shit and they're gonna go kill them. That could be plot point 1 because that's sort of like setting them on their journey, and like their journey is to kill all the aliens. They're gonna protect their block, and so I think that could be plot point 1, and that's like moving them into the second act, which the second act is just killing aliens and shit.
You know, I agree. I think that's plot point one also. Uh, just because like prior to that, even if they have interacted with the aliens like a little bit, they haven't committed to anything. They're just kind of going about their day, not really thinking about like what they're gonna do in the future. But that's the moment where they're like, we are gonna fight the aliens, and like that's their plan, I guess. And also, it lines up pretty much exactly with like the time, because based on like my times, it's 2030 is where Act One should be ending, and that's like the part where they're all running into their apartments to get like weapons and stuff.
Perfect. That makes total sense. Do we want to go to actually no, midpoint? You want to do midpoint
Yeah.
next? Okay.
Yeah.
So midpoint is emblematic of what we get in Act Two. It's the movie poster part, encapsulates everything that's like cool about the film. What do we think that is?
So I wrote it down as being like when they're in Tia and Dimple's apartment, and then like the aliens come in and they're like fighting them. Um, but according to like the times, it should happen around like 40 minutes, and that happens at 53 minutes. So it might be too late, but I don't know. I felt like that was the
But
most
like
emblematic scene.
I guess the inciting incident isn't completely on time either, so that can work. Like the times aren't perfect, but they're still like around the same-ish area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think like when we were watching it, we said like the movie poster part seemed like when they joined forces with the nurse that they like had previously robbed. So it's like that scene where she finally kind of like kicks some ass and joins them. Um, yeah, when they're in the apartments fighting them off.
Are you saying like the scene where
Yeah,
the
when she like
nurse like kills the alien?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's that same scene. I would agree. And just
anyone else have anything to say?
yeah. I mean I checked 41 and it's just when that dude with the weird name, I forget what it was. I don't know. The guy that was just going there to buy weed that wasn't really connected. Brewis, yes. It's when Brewis is talking to like that long-haired weed guy, and he's just like, "My car got wrecked or something."
Oh,
So I don't really think that's too important.
I don't think so either. It may kind of, in a sense, sort of introduce Brewis specifically to the conflict, but I don't think that it's. He wasn't the most important character. He wasn't like.
Yeah,
It wasn't really about him. It was more about Moses and his friends.
yeah.
Um, is the next thing would the next thing be plot point 2, or is there something I'm missing?
Pretty
Okay. So, yeah, plot point 2 is supposed to be when everything changes, and everything we know about the conflict is like wrong, because it's like it like begins the race to the finish. So I'm trying to think about like where this is, but I feel like I don't know. It would be
I think
kind of
it's.
sorry.
There you go. Sorry.
I think it would just be kind of where they like figure out how to end it. Like they know that they have to grab the dead alien and lure them away, like that kind of thing.
Would it be that, or like I mean, that makes the most sense. But I was like, I'm always curious about. I was always curious about the part where they're in I forget her name, girl's apartment, and they realize that the aliens are following them specifically. I mean that's. It makes more sense that it's the female portion, but is that like still an important piece?
I'd say it's important, but I think plot point 2. I agree with what Olivia was saying. It's like when they're in the weed room figuring out like their plan. I think that just has more impact, I guess. Like that's important what you said, but like it's easier to see how like the part where they're talking about how the females like making them chase them and everything, how that like leads into the climax more.
Right.
Also, based on the time, it should be happening at 1 hour and 9 minutes and 50 seconds, and that is when they're like talking about it. So
Also,
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I think it's like when they're in the weed room and Bruce is like explaining all of his like his skills in animals or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, they're following the female, and that's why because of all the pheromones." I think that's definitely plot point too.
all right, perfect. Really quick, how long is this supposed to be?
30 minutes.
15?
30.
30. Okay. Oh god.
Wait, for which part? Which section?
Just
Just like this
like
whole,
this.
like Zoom meeting, I guess is supposed to be 30 minutes.
Oh, this whole Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
No, that's okay.
30 minutes is how long this is? Okay, cool.
How many minutes are we at right now?
It doesn't like say recording time, but what we started at 10:30, so we're like
37,
almost,
I think.
yeah, so like we're almost there. It's actually not that bad.
Oh yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
Our climax.
yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the climax is when Moses is running from the weed room with the alien on his back to his house, and like he blows up his house. It's sort of like that whole sequence of events um, when the nurse like turns on all the gas and stuff like that. It's like that phone call, and then the main climax, like the climax, is when Moses is running from the weed room with the alien and like fighting off all the other aliens and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So we all agree on that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay. And what is the next one? The next one is
Probably just like
They knew.
what makes up Act 3? Would it just be that's just the race to the finish in itself, like, right? Just them
Yeah.
kind of,
yeah.
okay.
It's like the
So it's
stakes
just
are high. Moses could die, but he's doing it all for the greater good. He's sacrificing himself. That's like all of Act 3. He's like establishing himself as the hero of the film.
yeah. It's just the whole time where like they've committed to their specific plan, and they're like, "This is risky, but we have to do it to save Earth." So,
Or what is it? Our block.
oh
Yeah.
yes, our block.
Yeah. Okay.
Climax is. Sorry,
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna. It was just. I was just gonna say the climax is actually the moment Moses says he's 15.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he's literally 20, like 22.
He's like, I looked it up to do the math, and I think he was literally like 19, 20. So, I mean, he didn't look 15.
Yeah, I don't know how they thought that was gonna like be, I don't know,
Yeah.
reliable.
So last is the denouement.
Well, plot point 3, did we say that already? Is that when they just finally finish kill? Because it's the perfect
Plot point
solvent,
3.
right? What happened? It's like the solvent to the conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the climax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
guess
when
so.
we know,
Yeah.
but I feel like the plot point 3 is like one's like right after the climax. Once we know that Moses is safe.
Right. Yeah, like he killed them, all of that, and then now, yeah, the denouement.
Denouement is when he's getting arrested, and he's gives the audience time to reflect that he's being arrested.
Yeah, when they're cheering him on.
Yeah, Moses.
Mm-hmm. The block is on his side. The block
Side, yeah.
knows that
Yeah.
he's a hero. So yeah.
Exactly. What else can we talk about that will possibly make this longer?
Also, that part also establishes sort of the social rank and kind of like the stereotypes. Like they keep saying, throughout the film, like Sam keeps saying, "We have to call the cops. We have to call the cops." They keep saying, "No, we're gonna get arrested." And the truth is yeah, they would have gotten in trouble even though they were the victims in all of this, because they're sort of branded as just kids who are not of great wealth and just kind of being stupid. And I think that once he gets arrested, and when the block is like what Abby said, it's like the block is on his side and they're cheering him on, it sort of like really establishes like that sort of power it can have. It's like the law may not be on your side, but the community is.
Yeah. That's a really good analysis.
I think something else we could discuss is Do you think there are any conflicts in the movie that are like brought up that the climax doesn't resolve?
Yeah, the death of like the children, like
Yeah,
little
like there's like
kids
3
dying.
little children died.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
wait.
exactly.
Whatever happened to them in the trash can?
Well, he got out, I think, because the two kids, remember, they like,
Yeah.
what did they use? Gasoline.
It
They
was
Like
like,
gasoline, and then they lit
yeah,
the thing on fire.
yeah. But yeah, like literal children getting their brains eaten. That was so
That
terrible.
was sickening.
Yeah, a
yeah,
little
like,
bit. No, the dog that was left
That
totally just
was
nobody talked about. They were like, "Oh, he died."
that was the saddest part, in my opinion. I thought that was the saddest part.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the dog was in there for 5 seconds, and they decided to just kill him. That was very depressing. But they also killed his owner and one other kid. Oh yeah, and they never really sort of talk about um, what actually happens to like Moses and his friends after they get arrested. Like, and they also don't really talk about what happened to Pest after he was like his leg was torn off, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
A lot of like the other, actually, just basically all the main characters have a lot of stuff left standing because, like, what are you going to tell the kids, like, parents who, like, got eaten, you know?
Yeah.
We don't really see them, like, figure it out or anything. So,
I mean, it was important when they all were running back to get weapons, back at their houses. It kind of showed like the different family dynamics they had. Some of them, like, just had parents who really didn't care. Some had, basically took care of themselves, like Moses, and some had parents who really worried, and the kids just had to lie, like, and they really had to lie, or they just had to say, "Yeah, I'm going out. I'll be back." Like.
Oh.
So some of the points I had for like possible things, like possible points, but we decided, or I decided probably weren't. Uh, so let's see. So for plot point 2, I had when like hi-hats is blaming Moses like for the alien invasion, but saying like it's his fault and he kind of messed everything up, I guess. Uh, so I think that's definitely like, I guess, kind of a change in perspective in a way, but it doesn't really like change how anyone's acting at that time. So it's kind of like we're seeing a new perspective of things. Like we hadn't really thought to blame Moses fully. And that not that like we should blame Moses, but like in the story world, that
Yeah.
idea hadn't really been introduced. But at that point, I don't think it's plot point 2, just because nothing's done about it then. Like it doesn't change the tone or like the pace of the movie or anything really. It just kind of leads into what does become plot point 2 a bit smoother.
And you could also argue that like Hi-Hats, he's like a secondary character in the film, but he sort of has his own story going on. So he has his own personal plot point 1, plot point 2, all that sort of a thing. And I think that's sort of true with all of the characters, but like especially with Hi-Hats because he's like the only, I guess, antagonist of the film. No, he's not like the antagonist. I'd say like the aliens are the antagonists, but like he is one of the antagonists, and he sort of goes on a hero's journey just like Moses and the gang does, I would say.
Yeah, in a way.
Hmm. So, like, you could say that, I don't know, his inciting incident is even trusting Moses with the drugs. And then, like,
Yeah.
his plot point one could be when his friend gets killed by the aliens. Like, he has his own hero's journey going on.
Yeah, no, that's true. So then that would be like his
Anyone
plot
else?
point too.
Yeah. And then, like, his plot point three could be him, like, in the house, in, like, yeah, like going to the house to meet up with the boys, and like his climax could be when he decides he's not gonna go safely into the weed room with the rest of them, and he's gonna try to fight off the aliens by himself. That's his climax, but like his story doesn't end well, and so he doesn't get a denouement, however you say that. He doesn't get a happy ending, as he just like he gets killed by the aliens.
Yeah.
Did you have any other points written down that like you thought were right, and like we just proved together?
Not really. Most of them it was just they're ultimately part of the. It was just something bigger, and that's the event. Sam leaves the weed room to like go to Moses' apartment, and then when Moses goes out with aliens strapped to him. So like I'd say those are probably both more or less part of the climax. But like the part where Moses is leaving is like more. That's like if you had to like pin down a certain like a minute or like 30 seconds, it'd be Moses, but they're both part of like the same set of events.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anything else? I mean, that gave us a few extra minutes, which is good. Yeah, I think that might be the most we could
How many
add.
extra minutes did that give us?
Say that again, Abby. What did
Hmm?
you say? What did
Oh,
you?
how many extra minutes did that give us?
Oh, like I don't think we made it into 30 minutes because I think we only had like 3 minutes of conversation, unfortunately. But like we're right under it, so it sucks.
Okay. We can just like summarize all the plot points we
Yeah, we could
decided
do
were
that.
like important.
Sure. Who wants to start?
Can start, I guess. So
Um,
yeah, we decided the inciting incident was when they attack the female alien, right? Not when they see the car explosion.
yeah.
So that was the inciting incident because that's ultimately when they come into contact with what's going to start the conflict.
Mhm. And then we move into plot point one, and plot point one, what did we decide on that? We decided when they were getting ready to fight all the other aliens that came down to Earth. And so they're like going home, they're getting their weapons, they're getting their bikes, they got the dog, rest in peace. Uh, and they're just getting ready to kick ass, you know?
Yes.
And that leads us into the second act, which is when they're like fighting the aliens, and it's really
Totally.
the main part of the film. They're just fighting aliens.
Yeah. And the midpoint we kind of decided was like when they're in the apartment and they finally join forces with the nurse that they previously attacked, and she like
Yeah.
kills her first alien to save Moses. You know what I mean? Like I think that would probably
Yeah.
count.
And then plot point two would be when Brewis is like explaining the whole thing with the pheromones and how like all the like male aliens are coming after them because of the female alien, and they discover like the blood on Moses. and then that would lead into the third act, which is the race to the finish, where they ultimately make the plan for Moses to like run out with the alien strapped to him and everything.
Yeah. And like the climax of the film is definitely when Moses straps the alien to his back and he runs to his apartment fighting off aliens and like basically sacrificing himself for the block and like for his friends. So yeah, that's the climax.
For sure. And then denouement, is that the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely them cheering for Moses. In all the British accents. Like
Yeah.
when he finally won and everything's calm again.
Yeah, it's not like the happiest ending for Moses, obviously,
Yeah.
but the important part is like he's won the respect of like the people on the block, which is what he cared about. So it's good that like people see him as like a hero and everything, even if the circumstances aren't too great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.